Now, speaking of the comics, last thing to talk about here. Someone on Tumblr asked Evan, I'll be direct here, we got more preview pages of the new DC crossover and there are more humans mixed in with the Mobians. Are humans not appearing in IDW anytime soon, or will we see seeing them? And she answered, all I can give you for now is a tentative, preliminary, #knowing smile. So, without confirming anything solid, she at least seems to have at least pitched a story involving humans to IDW. And that's saying something. That is sort of the big issue that people have with IDW, and I think it is a very valid issue. The comics are supposed to be canon, right? That's what Sega said. And yet, we have many examples through the games of humans being a lived-in part of the world, and yet IDW, for whatever reason, is actively going out of their way to not have them. There are moments where they could have been, and they definitely could have enhanced the story, in my opinion, especially when Sonic and Blaze were in Spagonia. Missed opportunity for Blaze to meet Professor Pickle would have been fucking goated.
Where the fuck is he? Where are the cucumber sandwiches, motherfuckers? Where?
So that's the interesting thing. I'm kind of at a loss here when it comes to IDW in that regard, because Sega has shown pretty clearly they are willing to show the Mobian characters, and it's funny we're still calling them Mobians. All these fucking JP purists still call the animal characters Mobians. That's the funniest thing to me, in my opinion. But that's an aside. I don't want to get into that. The fact that IDW does not show human characters does feel like the world does feel empty. Can you agree to that a little bit?
Yeah, I can't agree with that. I don't like that there's no human characters.
Immediately after, this started to circulate on Twitter, Adam Bryce Thomas went on his Twitter and asked just plainly, and I'm going to read this verbatim here because he clearly understands by asking this question. He put a bomb in front of the community and understands this needs to be handled very delicately. So he just said, why do people want humans to appear in Sonic comics? I am not posing this question as criticism. Why is this important? Are there stories that people think would be improved by it? Maybe an inconsistency with games and they can't abide by that? Why is this important? So again...
Oh my lord, he said, Gary, there's a bomb strapped to my chest! Except he's saying, Sega, there's a bomb strapped to my chest.
You think if Ian does that, we can get the Freedom Fighters back?
You shut the fuck up, man!
I'm just asking questions!
Can you believe this fucking guy? Can you believe the shit I have to put up with? Oh, we're such... Alberto, we're such chuckle fucks, man. Oh my lord.
Anyway, by putting this bomb in front of the community, and he handled this incredibly delicately, there actually were some pretty good responses. A lot of them, actually, I think were very professional and very reasonable responses. The first one that immediately comes up here is kind of like a screenshot because the answer was too long to be put in a tweet. But the gist of it is that the Metal Virus Saga, for example, was a global event, yet we only saw Mobian characters. It would have been more interesting to see humans and Mobians coexisting, and of course, the other more relevant characters like Professor Pickle or Tori, if humans are allowed to appear, they could have appeared, and of course, Gun, and or what they could have done during Surge's rampage, for example, or what they could be doing involved with the restoration. You can use the Mobians as like the cartoony characters, and the human characters can still be cartoony, but it is an interesting contract to have these cartoony characters next to even stylized humans is the point of what this guy is saying. And so Adam responds with, so you are interested in the aspect of world building in general, correct? And he responds with, basically, yeah. Having this one population when talking about grander scale events makes the world feel more empty and lacking something in these comics. There's also the potential of human Mobian conflicts that could occur, and Sonic being the bridge to help resolve those conflicts. Something that actually was very prevalent in the Archie comics, by the way. Look, that's just a fact, okay?
It is.
And so it's comments like that are actually being very respectful. And whenever people, I will say this, the Sonic people in the Sonic community have a very Well, I think people have called it the Goomba paradox, if you will. You have opinion A, opinion B. It's being fed through you at the same time through Twitter, and then you, as the viewer of this content, go, how can people have opinion A and opinion B that contradict each other? That's very stupid. I am clearly the smartest person on this website. So Adam here is being very, very clear and concise, is like, all these people who are giving their genuine opinions, but they are giving it with this sense of absolutism. Like, they are presenting it as if they are, like, the representative force for the entire Sonic community at large. And Adam is coming in here and saying, listen, I am taking your advice seriously, but let's also be clear here. This is just your opinion and what you personally want out of these comics. Okay? Okay. Okay. And he did take the feedback. It seems like, obviously, considering he is like one of the head artists of the comic, it seems like he is taking this feedback and maybe presenting it to IDW to be like, yo, this is something that the fans genuinely do want. We have to play ball here.
One can only hope, honestly. You know, I'm kind of out of it, and I'm a little delirious because I'm very tired. But I will give you guys one last burst of energy and say that I think that for the good of the comics and for the good of the games, humans being in Sonic is a good thing, actually, and I think they should be there.
Yeah, I do agree. And I mean, look, we still don't know what anything is about with Frontiers 2. It seems like the next little arc that the games are going forward, Eggman and his family, the Robotnik lineage, if you will, are going to be a big part of the narrative moving forward. And of course, there's all the theory that Tori is Maria's sister that was mentioned in Shadow Gens, and if that's true, then what's her relationship with Eggman if that's the case? You know, we do have like a lot of big questions here, and of course, you know, we also have to mention, you know, we all expect Infinite is going to be the big bad reveal at issue 100 at this point, but what I've kind of like fan pitched out there in the void is that, hey, issue 100, big reveal, it is Infinite, but at the very end, we have a Gun rolling up with Commander Tower rolling in to get revenge on Infinite after he humiliated him during the events of Forces. And I mean, look, listen, it would be very funny to see one man use the entire global military to basically just get petty revenge.
It would be pretty epic, I can't lie. Fuck it, lock in.
And you know, the first person was also right in saying that there are interesting stories that could be told about human Mobian conflicts. And you know what? Look, if we're going to talk about writing, can you give these fucking anthropomorphic characters a real name? If you really don't want us to use Mobians, can you give us something?
No, man. They won't give us anything, but I hope they do. It would be nice.
Sure would, wouldn't it, folks?